Welcome to Season 4 of the Questions With podcast, hosted by Quest Ventures, the top venture capital fund in Asia. I am your host, April Vano, and join me as we explore the dynamic startup ecosystem and business landscape in the Philippines. As we listen to thought leaders and industry experts, innovators, and entrepreneurs, we'll uncover the stories, insights, and trends across different industries shaping the future of this vibrant Southeast Asian nation. Today, we are honored to have with us Quenby, a leading figure in the Philippine investment community and the executive director at the Manila Angels Investment Network, MAIN. Quenby plays a pivotal role in connecting early-stage startups with angel investors, fostering a dynamic environment for innovation and entrepreneurship in the Philippines. Her leadership at MAIN has been instrumental in building a robust network that not only provides capital, but also mentorship and guidance to budding entrepreneurs. Her commitment to nurturing the startup ecosystem has made her a key player in the industry, known for her ability to identify and support high-potential startups. In this episode, we'll explore Quenby's journey in the investment world, her insights into the Philippine startup landscape, and the impact of angel investing on the growth of new ventures. Through her experiences, we'll gain valuable perspectives on the role of investment in empowering entrepreneurs and driving innovation in the region. Hello, Quenby. Welcome to Questions with Podcast. How are you today?
Hi, April. Thank you for having me in your podcast. Like I said, I'm no expert at this, but I'm excited to be here and very grateful that you're including Maine as part of your roster.
Of course, this is going to be just a casual conversation, and we're really thankful also for the time we're taking to have this conversation with me. And hopefully we get insights right into the Philippines and, more specifically into, the space that you're in. So maybe we kick off with that. Perhaps you can tell us about your own journey to becoming, the executive director at MAIN and what led you to this role.
You know what? It wasn't a clear path for me. It wasn't like, I've had a growing desire to be part of this space. But I was an investment banker for so many years. After graduating from college, treasury was my main focus. And then after a long time, I kind of got burned out, decided to go back to school. I went to the US. I took an associate degree in visual communication, which led me to become a visual specialist and open a design studio here in the Philippines when I came back. But then it wasn't, hindi ka yayaman sa visual specialist. You won't become very rich. And yeah, I'd like to make money, but I know that's not the end all in our lives, right? But so I met a VC friend of mine from Singapore who introduced me to the world of startups. So we made our first, angel investment as a group, as friends, all like very small size checks, just saying, okay, let's try it out. This company was vetted by our VC friend, and let's see how it goes. That's I think over 10 years ago. And fortunately, although I've never had an exit yet, but at least those companies are still there and, they're still alive. Of course, I've had a few failed investments as well. So, I was also an entrepreneur. I brought in whiskey from the US, and then the pandemic hit. It didn't work, and then reconnected with an old friend, a mentor, who was looking for someone to replace the last executive director in MAIN because he was going to move to Singapore. I applied, went to the interviews, and I got the job. So this is where I am. It's a great learning experience for me, and I'm still learning up to now. But more than that, I'm already, older. So it means that also it's time for me to also give back to the community. I was a newbie entrepreneur once. I know how it is to be, on the asking side, trying to make your business work. You need capital. Banks won't come to you. Banks won't lend to you, and then you run out of family members to borrow from. So angel investment is really the only other option to try to grow and scale your business. I guess, this is where I am now. It's like one day at a time. You try to make a bit of difference, and MAIN is allowing me to do that.
That's wonderful. I mean, I guess it's a great new path, but also really, I think it's an impactful experience for you personally, but obviously for the stakeholders that you're with, both the entrepreneurs and the other angels at Maine. So I mean, excited to learn more, right? So maybe you can also share, for those who don't know what Maine is, maybe a little bit of a background, what Manila Angels is.
So Maine is really a group of network that have come together because they want to invest in startups. So you can't just be one or two people who call startups, hey, come to us, right? So they banded together so that more people will attract more startups. So that's how Maine really started. It's really more about investing in startups, mentoring, guiding, trying to find ways to help these startups succeed, become pitch ready. That is what Maine is really about.
Awesome. And perhaps maybe, I know it's not really like step by step, but just to, share your example or your experience as Maine, how you identify and select these startups, and what do you usually look for, right? So the qualities of the entrepreneur, even, the enterprise and the types of businesses that you entertain and you actually look into for investment.
Okay, so Maine invests in startups that are scalable. That's really up there for us as a priority. They have to have high growth potential. They're addressing a large market. They have a strong competitive advantage. So these startups have identified a problem and have found a solution they feel is unique to them. They have a feasible business model that shows that their burn rate is realistic relative to their revenue, right? They look for companies with clear IP ownership, entrepreneurial management, and the potential to generate high capital gains. Maine also expects startups to have a develop minimum viable product or MVP and gain reasonable amount of traction, like their product development, their clients, the people who use them, the revenues, and then indicating a solid product market fit and readiness for scaling. Then very important, one thing I cannot stress also enough, we also look at the founders of these startups. April, there's so many startups out there with different founders. Some, come from good families, rich families. Some are not so good, not so rich families. But then that shouldn't matter, right? What matters is the character of this founder. I think that will say a lot in how they do business. They may be intelligent, they may be creative, but do they have good work ethics? I think that will sustain the founder, give them a longer life in their startup. Will they crack under pressure or learn to pivot when challenges arrive? How do they view success and failure? So for me, if founders fail, that's okay. How they get up and how they handle closing their business is so important for me to judge the character of founder. And will I invest in this founder again because of what I see, right? Like I said, 90% of startups that come about and ask for funding don't always succeed. So it's really a high risk investment. But then, like I said, if you have a solid founder, that founder will come back and maybe come back with a vengeance.
Wow. So I guess with you saying that you've had entrepreneurs come back as well, right? Yeah, the serial entrepreneurs in the life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Startups, it's a short life, diba? Parang their lifespan, it's not longevity is not for everyone. So they do pivot. I think that's very important.
That's true. And then maybe at that point, right? Like just to profile that types of startups or their stages. You mentioned that obviously they have their MVP, or at least they've already somewhat been in the market already. But maybe in terms of your investments, right? Any success stories that whether it's from years ago that you would say, like you said, not really an exit yet, but perhaps successful startups or entrepreneurs that are really still in the game, and you would proudly say these are Manila Angels supported or backed entrepreneurs.
So, some of the more successful startups that main angels, or what we call mangels, have invested in are in fintech, logistics, healthcare, entertainment, among others, right? Um, but more than that, we feel that there are other sectors there that we need to look out for. We also feel that it's very important that we try to attract global markets, not just, within our country. Of course, we start here, right? We always start with the Philippines, but then, we need to grow, for sustainability, for the business to become really more successful. So we believe that, software as a service, or SaaS, may be a more viable road to reach the US clients, or clients abroad, such as opposed to e-commerce. There's so many already out there. Lazada's out there, Shopee's out there, Alibaba's out there. They're already successful. It's so hard to actually compete with them, right? And then the Philippines has an advantage. We have cheaper labor, cheaper customer service. So I think we just need to find a software solution that can solve these problems around the world. This will make for a good investment, I believe, in the long term, a good industry to actually invest in, that can be sustained. Another industry, the country right now, we're always trying to improve. So what I see, that's that there's a drive for digital transformation in enterprises in the Philippines. So this is another good angle for us to look at as an investment, to see how startups can include digitalization in their business. As it's also something, aside from BPOs and all of that, data centers, digitalization is already, I think, something to look out for in the startup scene.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially with, more, I would say, industries coming out, and really, I would say there's really transformation already over the last few years. And the digital is also one of those pivotal, I would say, game changers. And I think that's where startups, right, or technology companies are perhaps given the advantage.
Right. April, and you see, like, the big companies, the big conglomerates in our country right now, they're already moving towards that. So I believe the startup companies should also find a way to be part of that, to be part of the this new trend as well, so that we already have so much startups have offering the same solutions, or the same product. So this is something for them to think about and see how they can actually make it work for their company.
That's true. I mean, catering to existing players. And that's also another conversation, right? Like corporate innovation or companies investing in these startups. So, somehow that synergy can create even more value in their industries. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, you pointed out a few sectors already. Maybe a not necessarily personal question, but more of you as an angel yourself. Like, is there like a top, maybe top 2, top 3 sectors that you kind of like have not really a bias for, but somehow that really calls your attention, and perhaps that's where you see is the need for innovation, and that you would be more than willing to explore investments in?
So, like I said, a SaaS company will always be one, but I haven't invested in one. I'm still on the lookout for one of those. But fintech, of course, I believe is always a good solution to a lot of problems here now in the country, especially payment problems, investment problems. So, but it has to be scalable. We're looking also for newer apps, or newer platforms for us to use for that. Also, logistics, I think, is also still something that we can look at as well.
Definitely for the Philippines, right? So many gaps in logistics. Gaps, and as you mentioned, it's not about like, all the women are on one side and the men on the other. It's working towards common goal together. And maybe to also, take the lens a little bit, back to like zoom out in terms of investing, right? Like investing in startups. You mentioned earlier that it's definitely a more like a high risk investment, and definitely somewhat, it's just a specific group of people perhaps that can become angels, right, to a certain degree. But there is that need, or there is that relevance for an investment community to be there as the driving force, right, for more entrepreneurial ventures to kind of get out of their little, I would say, little holes, and actually thrive with your support. Perhaps maybe what would you say is I guess the climate now, right, within the investment community, and how would you also talk to would-be investors, right, exploring this space of tech startups? You mentioned you invest in startups that are really like scalable. These are definitely in the line of technology driven, probably not as black and white as as a cafe or as a pizza parlor. Especially in the Philippines, this is still quite a new space, right, for any kind of investor. So perhaps, making that view a little bit clearer, or I would say encouraging for would-be investors. What would you usually tell them?
Okay, it's hard for me to say what would I usually tell them, because I'm just one of many of the people here in Maine. So, like I said, we're really comprised of entrepreneurs, business owners, people in the academe, tech executives, right? So I've spoken to them through the years of being in this space. So, and what was common is for the startups, what they always say when they listen to startups: hey guys, do your research. Don't just rely on one great idea or speak to just one successful person. Keep on talking to people, keep on trying to find out why this idea might work, why it might not work, why is this a good idea, why did this company succeed, why did this not succeed. Keep on doing your research, right? So also find out why some succeed and why some fail. So, mind you, there's no shame in failing, as it only makes you stronger if you get up again, right? For those who succeed right away, congratulations. You're probably just a small percentage of those who do, and you should be proud. But like I said, it's a journey, right? Investment is a journey. It's filled with challenges, so keep persevering. Know how to pivot. Sometimes your original idea might not work. How will the next idea work? And then if it really, you feel that you're running out of money and there's really nothing to do, then it's also a matter of dealing with your investors, explaining everything, be transparent. Why did it work? How will we close? And how do you treat everybody with respect, without without just favoring one over the other, right? So that's very difficult also to do, but it's something that has to be done, right? So as a future naman of angel investing in the Philippines, I see immense potential. The startup ecosystem is growing rapidly, and then in the local and international investors recognize the talent here we have in the Philippines. So we can expect increased innovation. So angel investors will play a crucial role in nurturing early stage startups, which is what we in Maine try to imbibe, right? We with the right support system in place, the Philippines can become a hub for groundbreaking solutions that address both local and global challenges. I mean, I really believe that the Philippine ecosystem will continue to grow. Some of the startups that are already there that, are unicorn status, not unicorn status, but getting there, we have a few companies that are already there, and we're trying to be, although we're still not at par with our neighbors like Indonesia and Vietnam, but, people are looking at the Philippines right now because they know there's the potential for growth is there. Their investment will grow faster and further if they choose the right startup. So Filipino startups, hold your horses. We're not, the best is yet to come. So please, try to keep coming with good ideas, good solutions, good business models. I'm sure, the investments are coming to the Philippines.
Yes, exciting times definitely for the Philippines. I mean, regardless of, perhaps different challenges here and there, I think I agree with you. The ecosystem is definitely, hot and really, wanting for more growth. And hopefully, like with investors like Maine and others that would like to also invest in the Philippines, there's so much growth potential. And I think it's really the impact that you're making, right, in this developing country. And it's exciting to see, like you mentioned, like Quest is Singapore based, but we're definitely a regional player. But there's definitely more interest, like compared to a few years ago. I remember, right, Philippines is literally not top of mind, let's say, right, in terms of startups and investors coming in. So it's great to see this. And I'm really grateful for the insights that you've shared today, as Maine, but also as you, right, as someone very active in developing this ecosystem. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe to wrap up, or I don't know, it's like a less serious question, right? Like said your Maine, right? Like, so what is, let's say, for example, for you, right, for Quenby, like if you were going to be an entrepreneur yourself in the Philippines, and you would come up with a business, right, or a startup, what would be your main, right? Like what would be the main idea, or like you said, to think of something that can make an impact in the industry. You don't need to pitch, of course. Those are reversed right now, but just for fun, I know that you're focused on this, and but I'm sure there's some entrepreneurial itch still in there. But for you, if you were going to have another go at being an entrepreneur,
I wish I could be, what I hate is whenever I hear people pitch, I'm like, sometimes, why did I think of that? Why did I think of that, right? For instance, one of the startups that are already out there that I would like to copy is somebody like Grocery. Somebody who addresses the needs of the Filipino people in smaller communities, and how they came together to create a solution for these sari-sari stores to become more efficient, to have a wider reach with their sari-sari store that they have, something like that, something that can cater to the need of the Filipino people. It doesn't have to be, sexy. It doesn't have to be super expensive product, right? Parang it's a sari-sari store, right? That mom and pops really just handle. But then you help these mom and pop stores become like mini grocery stores, and that's what the community, or the Filipino community in the suburbs, that's what they need. So I don't have my own idea right now, but that is the type of company that I would like. One day I want to have that one good idea that can be something like that.
Yes, I think on that note, you kind of like opportunities in the margins, right? And I think that's also perhaps the space of investing in impactful ventures. And I also like Grocery's model, and I think there's more, right, beyond, let's say, challenges within, let's say, the capital, or the challenges in big industries. There's definitely the challenges by Filipinos across the country, and a need or a call, right, for innovators.
Yes,
brilliant ideas to kind of crack that and help, right, the economy grow even further. That's really wonderful. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows?
Who knows?
We wear an entrepreneur's hat in the next season. I don't know, but really, Quenby, I really appreciate this conversation with you. Learned a lot, and I do hope our listeners also have gain some more insights about the Philippines and be as excited as both of us are about, the ecosystem. So thank you once again, Quenby, and thank you again, Manila Angels. And of course, to everyone who is listening to this episode, thank you for tuning in with Questions with Quenby Go of Maine. For more episodes like this, be sure to hit the follow button on whichever platform you're listening from. I am your host, April Angbanyo. Till next time. Thank you, everyone.